Hi everyone, it's Katie from Paradise Falls family. In this video we'll be continuing our Thailand series and giving an overview of our excursion to Khao Sok National Park. This is such a beautiful part of the world, and although our day didn't go quite as planned, we were really lucky to spend a day in such a wonderful place. Khao Sok is home to the spectacular Khao Lak Lake, as well as the oldest rainforest in the world. This is where you can stay in floating bungalows on the lake, go hiking in the jungle, and even try and spot wild elephants and monkeys. One of the more popular things to do in this part of Thailand is to stay at Elephant Hills Resort, which is billed as luxury glamping, where you can stay in the jungle and out on the lake and enjoy all sorts of activities in the national park. We did originally have this booked ourselves, but changed our minds and opted for staying in KhaoLak for the entirety of our trip instead. This was for a number of reasons, but we basically decided glamping wasn't for us this time, and we'd rather just base ourselves in KhaoLak and visit for the day instead. The main aspects to Elephant Hills that really appealed to us was seeing the elephants, so we made sure to book a visit to the KhaoLak Elephant Sanctuary instead, which we've already covered earlier in this series, and visit the lake, which looked amazing. So our task was to find a day trip from KhaoLak that gave us a day in the park enjoying the lake and the sights. Fortunately, there are loads of day trips on offer, with the national park only being a couple of hours north from KhaoLak, including different combinations with other experiences such as jungle hikes and elephant sanctuaries. We sifted through these on Viator and Get Your Guide and settled on one through Get Your Guide with the tour provider Love KhaoLak Holiday. We'd already done our research on Love KhaoLak Holiday as we'd booked our bamboo rafting with them, and they looked really impressive. The tour we picked is linked in the description below, but it was named From KhaoLak, Khao Sok and Khao Lak Lake Tour with kayaking, and came to around £270 for the four of us. It was advertised as an 8-hour tour, leaving at 8:30 AM with time on the lake in a longboat tail, wildlife watching, kayaking and lunch at a lake house, so sounded perfect for what we wanted to do. Our tour guide was in touch via the Get Your Guide app the day before to confirm the pickup details. Frustratingly, pickup was arranged for 8 AM, 30 minutes early, which isn't a lot, but when you're waking up really tired kids, it does make a difference. Anyway, this wasn't a big problem, and we were picked up on time and headed off to pick up the other group on our tour, making 8 of us in total in the minibus. The bus was lovely and clean, very roomy, and it was a very comfortable journey to and from the national park. Our guide was really friendly, offering us free drinks, talking about the tour, and giving us loads of information about the national park and the country of Thailand along the way. The journey to the national park took around 3 hours, but this included picking up the second group, a toilet stop, a 7-Eleven stop for snacks, and our first stop at the scenic viewpoint at the Rajaprabha Dam. The drive over offered amazing scenery. Thailand is such a beautiful country, and at the dam we were able to park up and get our first glimpse of the lake. Our guide took some pictures for us on our phones, and then we were back on our way to the dock down by the lake, just a short distance away. At the dock, you do need to buy your own tickets to access the national park. This was only around 1,000 baht or £20 for the four of us, but make sure you have some cash to cover this. It's also pretty busy here with all the different tour groups, so there were some queues. This is also your best chance to buy fish food for out on the lake, and they were selling bags here for just a few pounds. We were escorted down to the longtail boats on the water, and we all squeezed on. We were joined by a third group, which was fine, but there was only just enough room for everyone, and the shade only covered half of the boat. Not brilliant in the scorching sun with little ones, but the group we were with were really lovely in helping us get the children into the shade. From here, we enjoyed a trip out on the water and across the lake that lasted around an hour. We took a scenic route to weave around some of the massive rock formations in the lake, which were really impressive. We also each got a group picture on the front of the boat, which was lovely. The water was very calm, no seasickness issues, and it was a lovely trip and really fun in a classic Thai boat. We arrived out at the lake house, which was our home for the next few hours, by around midday. The schedule in our booking said we'd spend 2 hours 45 minutes at the lake house, including 1 hour for lunch, with the rest of the time for kayaking and swimming. This was then to be followed by an 80-minute wildlife viewing boat ride. I think there are several different lake houses that you can stay on. This one was the Laguna, not the same as the Elephant Hills one. It consisted of a floating lake house including a restaurant, bathrooms and deck with a number of floating bungalows either side. We were greeted and seated in the restaurant for lunch. Our guide made sure we were all served, including vegetarian and gluten-free food. It was family style, so a number of different plates in the middle to share. There was fish, chicken, rice, curry, vegetables and salad, so something for everyone, and all 4 of us ate really well. The food was lovely, and our guide handed out cans of pop and bottles of water. Unfortunately, this is where the trip diverged from what we had actually booked. The other people in our group had booked slightly different trips. One group was staying at the lake house overnight, and the other was doing a jungle hike instead of the kayaking. Our guide had tried to gently suggest we might want to join them on the hike, but it was a no-go for us with the kids in this heat. This meant that there were several groups all doing different things, and we all needed to head back on the same boat. So the hikers headed off and we stayed at the lake house, and we had to wait until the hikers came back. This took quite a while, and we ended up staying at the lake house for 5 hours. Not at all what we'd booked. Although it was nice at the lake house, and our guide did his best to make sure we had everything we needed, it was just far too long, and we all ended up bored, hot and frustrated. It also turned what we'd booked, which was an 8-hour trip, into a 12-hour trip in the end, which just wasn't what we'd wanted. So this aspect had been really disappointing. We don't feel it was the guide's fault at all. He was lovely. I just think the day hadn't been scheduled correctly, which was a real shame. We tried to just make the most of the situation though, and had a good chunk of time at the lake house, surrounded by beautiful scenery. The kids fed the fish in the water around the dock, and we could head out onto the water on the kayaks anytime we wanted. We'd never kayaked before, so didn't really know what we were doing, and there was no one around to help, but we managed to get the hang of it, and once you're out on the water, it's lovely and peaceful and a lot of fun. It does get hot though, so Greg went for a swim in the lake afterwards. This is perfectly fine to do, and there are life jackets there specifically for this, but having seen all of the big fish, we couldn't persuade the kids to jump in too. The lake house itself was quite small, but did have a little snack shop, so we enjoyed a few ice creams and relaxed in the sun, but by 5 p.m. we were more than ready to head back and cool off. We did break the afternoon up with the wildlife viewing boat ride. However, rather than the 80 minutes that was advertised, it was more like a 30-minute ride just up and down a nearby coast in a longtail boat to try and spot some animals. You can sometimes see wild elephants, bears, monkeys and snakes here. Unfortunately, we didn't see anything, which can't be helped, but it wasn't quite the wildlife viewing tour that we'd expected. Eventually, the other group returned and we made our way back across the lake at around 5 p.m. and we were back at the dock and the bus and on the road by 6 p.m. We headed straight back with no stops and it took around 2 hours to make the drive back, arriving back at our hotel around 8 p.m. It had been a really long day, so we were all pretty exhausted. In summary, Khao Sok National Park is a beautiful and wonderful place, and it was fantastic to see it. Our tour guide and company were great in that everyone was very friendly, helpful, and we were well taken care of. It's just a shame that the scheduling let us down on the day. So overall, we have quite mixed feelings about this one. Having seen the national park and the lake houses, I'd also now be more inclined to stay out here. It was really peaceful. It felt like you'd be very comfortable out here, and you'd obviously have more of a chance of seeing some wildlife if you're spending the night here. If you're travelling as a family, I think a private tour might be better suited, just so you're more in control of the day, as it is a long, hot day. And we found that our private tour to Phang Nga Bay later in the holiday was much more comfortable in this regard. So hopefully that provides a useful summary of our excursion and what you can expect from a day in Khao Sok National Park. If there's anything at all we've missed or anything you'd like to know, then please just ask in the comments below and we'll do our best to help. As always, if you found this vlog useful, please give it a like. Next week we'll be moving on to cover our next excursion, which was our private day trip to Phang Nga Bay and James Bond Island. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to catch that. Thank you all so much for watching.